Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Thursday. Hope you're having an amazing day to you and your family. We're obviously going to take another look here at Bitcoin, see what's going on. We'll peek over at the dollar index, S&P 500, just kind of see roughly where we're at with those, and if they're looking pretty decent in their own way. Same thing would follow suit from Bitcoin. We're also testing this channel that we're in right now here today, so I'm excited to see what the one-day candlestick close gives us. That being said, we'll take a look at everything and obviously help you understand best practice and big picture. So if you are new to the channel, thank you for joining in. I hope that you can learn something here today. I like to make this an educational experience if at all possible. Help you understand, like what to do and how to do it effectively. I have a trading academy signal group as well as a community. We all learn and grow together, over 200 active members. And we're doing very well profit-wise on the signals, and the main reason why is just because we're working within this channel that we're in right now with Bitcoin. So a lot of different strategies that you can employ, but regardless, if you want to learn to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below. So why don't we go ahead and start with a couple of things first. Let's go with the obvious. First things first, dollar index is still up. Okay, so as long as that retains itself in a higher standpoint, then the cost of Bitcoin will be effectively lower. Okay, that's kind of they're almost inversely paired. That's not exact whatsoever, but in a lot of cases, dollar index goes up, Bitcoin goes down. We want to also take a quick peek here at just say S&P 500 or just say NASDAQ. They're both effectively working concurrent with each other. And the bottom line here is that we're still making lower highs and lower lows. Okay. So those lower highs and lower lows are effectively telling us that we're in a position where we might see a turnaround, but we're not there yet. And keep this in mind, even though we do have previous lower lows, if you look at the most recent relevant time frame, we are establishing higher lows now. Okay, so that's a good potential shift in momentum there. If we can break above this 3,900 shelf that S&P has for the moment, be in good shape. We can also see this gap here getting filled at this point here today. So again, a handful of things happening. Of course, we could in fact see the price increase from S&P to effectively increase and cover that gap as well. Okay, so again, because it gapped down really hard on the 9th, 10th, or sorry, the weekend of the 9th, as well as the 13th and 14th. So we all know what happened there. Bitcoin definitely had a bad day as well. So just again, something to pay attention to. It's not like it's definitive by any stretch, but just say S&P was to break above 3,900, we might see a break above 21.5 for Bitcoin, right? There's kind of a correlation there in that sense, and I do think that's more realistic. Now, as far as Bitcoin is concerned, let's go ahead and start from the top and work our way down. As per usual, we want to always look at the larger time frames first and effectively continue lower. Now, as I mentioned before, and there's no guarantees on this, but we do have this pattern forming, and again, patterns repeat themselves, but they don't have to. They have a, 60, 70, in some cases 80% probability of continuing to reoccur. So again, the patterns are not definitive, but they definitely increase the odds, right? And that's all we're doing is trying to compile a list of what is going to work best. Okay, so X, Y, and Z, does that all factor into a more likely up or more likely down? It's essentially what we're doing. So if we look here, we can see previously back in April, May, and June, we had 3 red months followed by 2 greens. Back in November, December, January, followed by 2 months in green. Okay, we are 3 months in from April, May, and June, and now this month here, July, potential green months for July and August. Again, there's no definitive line in the sand that says that has to happen, but that's still an interesting coincidence. And obviously, if you look further back, it doesn't have this exact same pattern. The pattern has only emerged in the last year or so of trading. But again, patterns nonetheless. Okay, so that's just something to kind of think about. Take a look here as well. Closing above the 20-day SMA would be huge too. So if we can close somewhere in the 21.5 or higher range this month, I think it's really important. So, the price point to break, I would say, or the level to have not only a monthly candlestick closure, but just to say start off with a daily candlestick closure is 21,500. Key level resistance on the moving average here, 50 on basically the SMA on the monthly, as well as a strong resistance level within the last 2 weeks. The price has not been able to break that plane. So again, that is something we want to pay attention to. 21,500, I think, is a level that we get a candlestick closure either on the daily or monthly. Above that, we'll be doing very well. Okay, so just something to think about there. So in that sense here, looking here at the relative strength index, you can kind of see we're still under 50 on the RSI. That's never advantageous. That's unfortunate, but in its history, when Bitcoin's dropped below that level, it has notoriously stayed underneath for about 2 or 3 months. And we're about 1 or 2 months in. Okay, so I think personally we could see some green activity over the next 2 or 3 months to effectively break this downtrend. There might and could very well also be a retest of 14,000 between now and then. So we got to keep that in mind as well. We're not in the clear. Don't take a bunch of long positions, but add to your position and dollar cost average effectively. I DCA $20 a day into Bitcoin. It's just a standard automatic withdrawal, and it's really straightforward. And I think majority of your portfolio right now should be stacking Bitcoin to prepare for alt season. Okay, so again, just something to kind of think about there. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. On the weekly, we can also see here as well, right around 22,500 is a key level resistance based on the 200-day SMA. We're not there yet, but that would also be another key level to break above. Furthermore, we can see this descending trend here, of course, right, concurrent with the 50-day set moving average working its way down. We're getting closer, but we're not there yet. So even if the price were to come up, we want to make sure we can break this plane first. There is a decent chance we will see a pattern like this happen where the price action continues higher, retests that level of just say 24,000 and gets rejected down to 14. That's a possibility. Between now and then, of course, we've got this descending type of channel here. Let me go ahead and kind of bring this up a little closer. And you can kind of see, of course, that we have this wedge type of pattern. Now this wedge, having started from the top, will more likely than not break to the downside, okay, if it continues to retain its shape. So today's a pretty big day in that sense, whereas if we don't get a candlestick closure above 21,000, we're probably not going to have much of a leg to stand on for the price action to continue to go higher. Again, it's hard to say specifically, but this descending trend has proven itself once, twice, and so far tentatively 3 times. Okay, we'll get there. This time tomorrow, we'll have better understanding of roughly what that looks like. But generally speaking here at this point, this is a bearish type of pendant pattern, typically breaks to the downside. Just throwing it out there. Okay, so that very well could happen. We could see a strong shift down, strong wick down. I recommend setting some limit orders at 14,000, 15,000 perhaps, just in case the price were to come down that low, you get filled and effectively have that opportunity, okay? Something to think about. All right, so again, that's kind of where we're at there on the daily. We want to take a look also at the RSI. It's creeping back up closer to 50. As long as we remain under 50 on the RSI, though, we're still going to be in this bearish type of divergence. You can see, ever since April, we've been under 50 on the RSI. We peaked above one day, and that was kind of an anomaly there where we got rejected right at 32,000. Okay, so again, at this point, until we're back up over 50 on the RSI, I'm not super convinced that we're back on track. It is nice and a consolation, so to speak, that we're up over the 20-day set moving average, but that really doesn't matter too much considering the fact that we're still under the 50. So yes, in the last 20 days, we're averaging a price slightly higher. That's a positive sign, but that still isn't a definitive proof that it's going to continue higher. I think it's more important to kind of pay attention and to wait for the one-day candlestick closure to kind of just confirm that we're on the right side of tracks here, okay? So that's generally what we're looking at. Again, good traders wait for confirmation, and that's just something I've always done, at least ever since I became proficient with trading. I would say that I've done that, and it's extremely helpful. You do got to be patient, and obviously try not to just fear of missing out into a trade. No FOMO in. Right now, we got to be careful and cautious and optimistic as well. All right. And the best way to do that is to keep a good positive mental attitude. So I don't talk about that enough, but I do like to make sure that you can, you know that it's important to be right with yourself in order to be right with trading. If you're a mess, trading is going to be even worse. It's going to cause you to have some terrible decisions. Anyways, take a look at the 4-hour. Here's kind of what we're looking at here. Pretty straightforward if we look at it from an outside looking in. In other words, we're up over both moving averages. That's great, but we're still under the 200, which to me is a big deal. So based on moving averages, we're still on the wrong side of the tracks. We're not there yet. We are also, of course, still making lower highs and lower lows, if you kind of look at it this way. But again, this one continues higher. That'll change all of that, of course. But if you look at the big picture here in the last, just say, what is it? This is almost 1 month of trading, basically 3 weeks. In the last 3 weeks, the price has had very difficult time breaking 21,500, and at this point, we're seeing a strong resistance shelf right about 21,000. And that coincidentally was a candle wick up here that got rejected very hard on June 30th when we saw that last momentous push before the one-day candlestick or the monthly candlestick closed last month to close just barely above 19,800. Interesting coincidence, but Suffice to say, we're up over 19,800, which is positive. Okay, so we do have a good thing going there. We're getting closer to 70 on the RSI. I don't love this because typically when you see 70 on the RSI, we see somewhat of a rejection. Granted, this one was somewhat of an outlier, of course, right at the end of the month. But generally speaking, we are looking at one of these things here where there's some kind of conflicting information on the 4-hour. In other words, it's telling us that it wants to increase, but we're under a key level resistance. And at this point, we keep getting rejected by this descending trend. So if this descending trend continues to progress lower, there's a strong chance we're going to see it come down to retest 18,000 or lower. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We are not in great shape here, but it's not like it's terrible either. We're kind of just getting some mixed emotions on the 4-hour, for lack of better terms. Taking a look at the 1-hour though, here's what I'm kind of curious about. First of all, TD sequential, do we have any resets here? We came up to a 9 here previously, and then we went sideways for some time and now increased again. So there is potential to see another 5 more hours of continuation in the upside. I think that's less likely considering the kind of resistance we're seeing right now, and that we have, again, this is tentative, we're only 40 minutes into this 1-hour candle, but we do have a bearish engulfing candle here. And if that were to close bearish engulfingly, if it's even a term, then you'll see the price action probably continue lower. Okay, so TD sequential isn't really helping us much here. It just tells us that we hit somewhat of an exhaustive state to the upside here recently, and then it relaxed enough to get a reset, to possibly leg up again. All right, so again, tentatively optimistic, but I do not like the way things are shaping up here. So let's take a look at the cloud here, and this is one thing that does kind of conflict with the 4-hour being kind of not so great, or just kind of more fair to middling. This does tell us we have all green lights to keep your long position open if you have one. Okay, so in other words, lagging spans free and clear of the price action, conversion lines above the baseline, we're well above the cloud. So we got like basically 3 out of 3 potential supports telling us that opening a short position right now may not be optimistic. Now, it's easy to want to think that opening a short right now close to a strong resistance level for Bitcoin would be advantageous. You could go on that school of thought, but until you receive confirmation from the cloud, it's a little premature. All right, again, it's that patience thing. So if we were to wait, just say, for example, for the price action, say the price action continues sideways and down, then we'll see something very similar from the lagging span, right? It's going to go ahead and move its way down like this and intersect with the price action here. And that would effectively give us an opportunity to close that position, okay? In other words, it would basically be telling us that this momentous trend to the upside is drawing dead, it's losing momentum. Kind of like a MACD convergence, so to speak, like a moving average. The lagging span does a great job of helping you understand if you want to get in or out of a trade. So that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. But to me, this bearish engulfing candle is not looking great. We can see a strong rejection here at this price point. Anytime we've seen bearish, basically bearish engulfing candles, they've signaled a reversal to the downside. Okay, so again, I don't think we're going to drop like a rock per se, but I definitely don't think we're going to go much higher than this level right here presently. Again, this is what the 1-hour is telling us. So again, this is fairly conflicting, right? The cloud tells us we got a good green light, we want to keep our long position open, but yet there's red lights here essentially pumping the brakes telling us we could see a turnaround. So it's up to you and how you want to do it. This is all based on your risk tolerance, of course. So just say you're in profit from a long position that you took somewhere in the range of 19.5 to 19.8, and you are profitable. Wouldn't hurt to sell part of your position. Sometimes 50-60% is appropriate. Let the rest ride, considering the fact that we still have a green light from the cloud, and then kind of go from there. Worst case scenario, it continues upwards, you make some more money. Better case scenario, you took your profits, it reversed back down, you hit your trailing stop loss, and you're fine. Okay, you still get out in profit. Again, those are all things that I try to strategize myself in my trades. That's why we have specific parameters within the signals that I send out to my community. And it's just one of those things that's really important to kind of understand and acknowledge that you want to be on the right side of the tracks for one. And we diagnosed here today that we've got some kind of 50-50 information, right? So in that 50-50 sense, you want to wait for confirmation. To me, waiting for the 1-day candlestick to close is probably the most appropriate thing. So I would make sure to wait, I would say, until 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or whatever time that is for you, and effectively make a sound decision after you have more information. But this descending trend, this is the thing that's concerning me a lot. It's not really looking fantastic, okay? So again, the bearish pendant pattern could very well come to fruition. Again, there's no guarantees on that, but it does look a little bit more like it wants to do that. especially if we reject off of 21,500. So if we see the price push up to 21,500, I think there's a strong chance that we're going to get a rejection there. But it does depend on what the candlestick closes here today at. We can close at this current level or lower, then it looks like we're probably going to continue lower. But if we get a candlestick closer above 21,000 today, we'll probably be in a position where Bitcoin will continue to increase. All right, so we'll see here soon. That being said, thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a fantastic learning experience. If you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link in the description below. And I do look forward to working with you. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks again.